Hey everyone. Welcome back to the Audacity Podcast, where we have all your dose of audacious tea and living and all the good things creative and sewing and whatnots.
All of
Just
it, all of
whatnots,
it.
y'all. I am one of your hosts today, Julian of Julian Creates. And who am I co-hosting with? Who's my co-hostess with the mostest?
Ooh, the hostess was, I'm gonna claim that. I am gonna claim that I'm with the mostest because you know what, your girl's been doing some things, right?
Come on.
Productivity has been peak. We're feeling really good, even though I don't feel like you should measure your wealth or how you feel based off of productivity, but we're work
Hmm.
in progress. But it
When
is
I
I,
feel rolled
Aaronica.
hard and put up with, child. But let me not introduce let me not interrupt your introductions.
Oh, it's over. It's your girl, Aaronica, the one and only.
Well, y'all, hey y'all. It has been for me at least a busy ass weekend this past weekend and I'm still recovering. In Cincinnati there was a festival. It is the largest US based light and street art festival in the country called Blink. It happens every other year. This year it was, I think, 30 blocks of different light installations and different things like that, as well as drone shows and parties and silent
Mm.
discos and just installations.
Silent discos?
On our Fountain Square. Yeah. I was in one of the installations. So I was my friend Caitlin McCall of West School asked me to come on as a collaborating designer in the exhibit called Hoko House, which was a house structure made out of recycled products. So she used like woven potato chip bags like the Mylar and stuff like that with LEDs and fiber optics and stuff like that to really play with light. So I made a piece and basically we did like tableau modeling where we basically just stood there and posed as people walked through and and interacted with lights and saw how it interacted with fabrics and stuff like that. I also another designer by the name of Seven. He is like a streetwear designer, also has pieces in it as well. There was another fashion show in another part of the exhibit, which got things real confusing for people who were trying to come and see which one they were going to, but neither here nor there. But it was fun. Um, I, my outfit, I look like a modern Tin Man. I did.
I can't with you.
I did. I did. People did not know if I was Tin Man or spacesuit. A lot of people thought it was a spacesuit. Either way, it works. I had basically made the world's most expensive pair of light up shoes. Um, by taking a pair of holographic Giuseppe Zanotti gym shoes and changing the laces over to LED laces.
Wow.
So literally, I like the most expensive pair of
Light up
little
shoes.
kid light up shoes. I
Now
made
listen, if they had a wheel, your girl would have been on it to try to take them from you.
look,
A little wheel,
look.
little pop a wheelie, a little skate action.
Let me put it this way. So I finally decided to like fully walk the festival because the other like so literally it was 4 nights and
Hmm.
I was modeling for we did it for about an hour or so um like until there was a large drone show over the river every
Hmm.
night. So we went to
Wow.
that to the time of the first drone show. So like from sundown to the drone show is when we did our stuff. And then on the last night I finally went and walked around because it was not as crowded. When I tell you it was crazy busy and like trying to get
Mm.
into the other parts of downtown, it was like mass crowds and like trying to move through that. I was like, no, can't,
Yeah.
no, that's not my ministry. But I finally went to go and do a little bit more and walked around. So them, them shoes caused a little bit of a boo-boo on the front of my leg. I done got a little plaster on, because they ain't made for walking.
These boots
That's
were
not
not
what
made
they
for
made
walking.
for. They are cute. Them is tipping in my
Mm-mm.
heels and you go sit
I would have
down.
died if that's what happened to my foot.
So yeah, there's a nice little abrasion on my foot
Not an
from
abrasion. I can't with you.
look from walking around and whatnot. But we made it through and um Even today, somebody posted, one of the street photographers took my picture, stuff like that, and posted that as I was walking
That
around on
picture was
Sunday.
so fire. Let me make a note to myself to make sure I download that. And of course, give props where props are due.
Yes. Let me make sure I give the actual um Frank Young photos.
Hmm.
Is the one who took the photos, and he is of um melanin and Howdy or Allied. Mm, I don't know. I don't, how to pronounce the last part. I don't know.
Okay.
But Frank D. Young is the main photographer. So very nice.
Yeah, and that
Beautiful
picture was
photo
so
actually.
fire.
So, and then I had some other friends who came down and took some photos of me and stuff like that. So, um,
Um,
it was affirming. Even the CEO of my organization came and checked me out.
what?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Um, with my organization, but it still was cool. Um, so I'm still tired. I'm still tired from that, but here we are, y'all. So also part of the reason why last week ain't worked the way we thought it was gonna be, and so we apologize for our absence, but yeah, trying to make sure we was ready
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
And life was life in, but then that was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. On top of also went to a quilt show on Saturday that showed a piece of the AIDS quilt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and what was interesting about the piece of the AIDS quilt that they sent, now, no, how many pieces of the AIDS quilt do you think there are?
Four.
More like
D.
45,000.
Okay. I mean, I got one digit right. You know what I'm saying?
45,000 pieces that are basically all 12 by 12 feet.
No.
Hmm. Remember, if you remember in the 90s and stuff like that, the AIDS quilt was able to go across the whole entire lawn.
But why did I just forget that?
Uh-huh. So, yeah, so they are now stored in San Francisco, and you can rent a piece to have like show for on display for like a day. That's it. And the piece that they sent was an earlier piece. Most of the people passed in the like between 89 and 86, so it was made in like early 90s. And one of the guys, the show was held in Covington, Kentucky, and one of the
Mhm.
panels was from Covington, was of a guy who died in Covington. He was a costume designer and dresser of two of our local theaters, one Playhouse in the
Wow.
Park and the Ensemble Theater. He died in 1986, I want to say, or I think it was 86 or 89. And he
Wow.
was from Covington. So, and they didn't know what piece they were getting until that came. So just kind of they were able to show that it had a local tie. And what was also cool is that the place that this was being held is called Victoria Riverside, and they are a elder community that also focuses on like building community for LGBT elders and like memory care for LGBT elders and stuff like that. So
That's
building a safe
important.
space, because a lot of times what you find out is that as people who have lived years out and stuff like that, as they go into these like care facilities, basically have to go back into the closet if they and, and scared of facing isolation, ostracization, and all that good stuff. So they have made a space that is more comforting and stuff like that for that. So hence
Yeah.
why they saw this as important to bring here. And they asked for other people in the community to have like pieces and stuff there. So I had two quilts also um, it's essentially sitting next to the A quote, showing
Wow.
together. So it was a
Wow.
busy weekend.
Dude,
Busy
you were
weekend.
ripping and running.
Chat, look, and that was just on Saturday. I also had to do something for work on Sunday because it's like also what's great about it is that in my day job I was able to help sponsor that event. So and then on Sunday I also had some like I had some work stuff to do before going back down and doing stuff like that. So hmm
Man. So that's
yes.
why I hear from you. Okay.
Chat, look, there was
That makes
look,
sense. It makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
look. I was
Wow.
busy.
It was busy. And I love that for you. I'm so proud of you for stepping out and being like, a piece of art. You know what I mean? Like I think that is so
Mm-hmm.
dope. And I know that you worked really, really hard on the outfit. Um, and I'm proud of you because whether you look like a Tin Man, an astronaut, it doesn't even matter because it was flawlessly executed. And I'm like awed by that. You know what I mean?
And I
Very,
appreciate
very
it.
proud of you. Very, very
I
proud.
the jacket I love. The jacket I use, it was a motorcycle jacket. The fabric is a metallic coated denim. So of course it wasn't just like a regular something. It was
Right.
special. So you have to be careful with how everything worked out. And I was pleased with the outcome, definitely. So
Yeah. I mean, those zippers,
hmm
the
hmm
zippers were fire,
hmm
fire.
So we'll
And
definitely make sure to share pictures and everything like that.
absolutely will.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I can judge that.
Fantastic. Yeah. Um, last week for me, and I feel like when my kids take a break, I'd be like, oh, well, I'm
Hmm
breaking too. You know what I mean? So my kids were on fall break last week, and I was like, marvelous. I'm breaking too.
Look.
Don't don't ask me for nothing. But the best
hmm
part, of course, was because my husband also took a week off from work. I'm not gonna
Mm.
lie, don't get me wrong, like I love playing house, right? It's cool. And I guess it's not playing because it's legit house. But like I do I'm not gonna lie, I do wish that we had been able to take them to like a grandparent and have them enjoy their grandchildren so that I could have enjoyed my husband. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's
Um,
real. Yeah.
one
hmm
of the things when you, of course, begin to have children and add more people into the mix, it does tend to lessen your time with your person. And in full transparency, I really like my husband and I really enjoyed time with him and I could have just used more. But
hmm
last week was kind of and shout out to us for doing big things because last week, for those that don't know, I attended Spelman College here in Atlanta. It is the number one HBCU in the nation. And I was able to go back and teach some of the students in a student organization how to do some hand mending. Now, before you look at me crazy, because I know you about to say you taught hand mending when you don't like
Oh,
hand sewing.
I mean,
But
just that,
listen,
but
listen, your girl was out there doing a damn thing. You'd have been proud because I had them hand stitching. I had guys in there who were trying to hem their pants because like one part of their hem fell. And I had them up in
hmm
there doing some invisible stitches with their hand stitches. We did both visible mending as well as invisible mending, but it was really fun. Um, and then I accidentally ended up helping them to learn how to crochet as well because following me was a student who was teaching them how to crochet. And crocheting I feel like is actually hard to teach. So is knitting because like
hmm
literally you're like, yeah, and then you're going to wrap that yarn around and like scoop it through and swoop and pull it out and now you have a loop, right?
hmm
Um, and so it was kind of hard for her to navigate. And so because I had started making a purse last week, which I finished, shout out to me,
There you
I was
go.
like, oh, girl, I can help you. And so I was helping her teach these students how to crochet. And then over the weekend, I also, for those that don't know, I was a competitive swimmer. That was my sport growing up. And when I went to Spelman, one of the PE instructors was like, "You really should start a swim team." And I was like, "Absolutely not. Your girl's just trying to survive. I'm just trying to figure out what life is as an 18-year-old who's just moved away from home, right?"
Look.
So I did not. But Spelman got their first competitive swim team, and they had their first swim meet. And after they had their swim meet, I hosted an event that highlighted hair care and skin care as a means of self-care and how you do that, with swimming,
hmm
because of course chlorine can be it can be a little damaging, it could be a little stripping.
Yes, it can.
And that was like, now I used to speak more often than I do now. I used to travel, especially because before the pandemic, in fact, literally like 2 or 3 months before that pandemic hit, I was out speaking and presenting and keynoting and stuff like that. And so it just kind of brought me back to that like previous lifetime of that, which is something that I really enjoy doing. And people were like, "Oh, how often do you speak? Like, I would love to come and see you at other events." And I'm like, So I don't actually anymore, but I would love to get back into this. And so, it's just that reminder of an additional thing that I really enjoy doing. So, that was a lot of fun. And then of course last week my YouTube video about Nerida Hansen went live, which
It did.
um, of course, I kept it cute, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
are brand ambassadors for other companies and other brands that we represent, even in our personal brands.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, that tea is in the comments and in my DMs because people are sliding into my DMs left and right. I have someone who used to work for her who slid into my
Oh,
DMs and was like, she had me out here planning all these classes and then didn't promote it, didn't do anything, and told me I had to cancel them. She did it to her twice before she opted out of working with her anymore. But she was like, I didn't lose any money, but I was kind and people were kind to me. So I was able to get my deposits back and stuff like that. But
right.
she was like, not everybody, experienced that. There are a lot of people who have lost money by working with her. And I was like, wow, wow, a lot to unpack there.
Oh, child. Child. Just too much. Too
It is too
much.
much.
But oh, just just people just need to go sit down somewhere, drink some water,
Yeah.
do right by people. But
Yeah.
y'all, we decided we're gonna take it back on y'all. We're gonna do a Am I the Asshole today
Mm-hmm.
because I be missing them myself. So this one is sad, little sad, but
Oh
it kind of
gosh.
relates. We were having a conversation earlier, and it kind of relates to that. And
Okay.
I will tie back of how they relate. So, am I the asshole for getting a sewing machine?
Mm.
I am a 15 female and live with my parents. I want to study in a good university in the future and want to save up some money for my own expenses. I wanted to start a small business for selling handmade cloth accessories and needed a sewing machine for that. I requested my parents to buy me one and my father said he would, but every time I tried ordering one, he kept giving excuses. I knew I knew I wasn't going to get one on my own, so I bought a really cheap one for around 20 bucks. This is out of the this is I think rupees, so about 1,500 rupees. Um
Okay.
so I paid for it with some prize money I got from a drawing competition.
Oh wow.
I did start my small business and sold some scrunchies and face masks for about 2 months before my sewing machine broke down.
Oh man.
I don't know why. I can't see any defects, but it just won't turn on. My parents are really mad at me for wasting money on a stupid hobby, and they won't let me take my sewing machine for repairs. I told them I paid for it, but they are adamant about it. My father also has made it very clear that when I started high school, that he won't pay for my college if I study anything else other than medicine. I don't want to study medicine. I want to study fashion design, which is why I wanted to save up for college. My parents are constantly harassing me regarding the sewing machine, saying they knew I couldn't do anything, and that's why they didn't buy me one when I asked. So am I the asshole for getting a sewing machine on my own?
God, that breaks my heart so much. Like,
It does.
um, it that hurts on so many levels, right? Because as a
Mm-hmm.
parent, um, I've really let my kids lead me with their interests. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
two-thirds of my children have sewing machines, right? One
Mm-hmm.
is now crocheting and she's not really sewing, but like I'm not going to poop on their dreams, their goals. If anything, I'm going to use my network, my people, my everything that I've done in life to try to help them attain their goals. But the notion of not paying for school unless you do something like medicine, and I'm just like, fashion and style is political. Fashion and style is directly related to so many different things that are even related to health, right? And in the
Mm-hmm.
health industry, um, like, wow, obviously she is not the asshole. I wish that there was a way to reach out to her and like, you know, figure out how to get her the money or figure out how to get her, the
A new
the
machine,
repairs
child.
done. But like, shout out to her for being a tiny entrepreneur. Like, you already know that I stand for a little entrepreneur who believes in themselves, right?
Hmm.
Because how many of us don't believe in ourselves? And if we had an iota of belief in ourselves, we would be in someplace completely different, right? So
Right.
shout out to her for, of course, believing in herself. And gosh, I just wish that I could help her out because so many of us have been discouraged, right? From doing
Hmm.
that. Like, I know myself, and my parents never said that to me, that they wouldn't pay for my education unless I studied medicine. But like when it came time for me to decide schools, my father was like, "Oh no, you can only go to the best of the best." Now, also, let me be very clear. Your girl almost failed out of high school when I was a sophomore because I stopped going to class, period. So for him to be like, you can only go to the best of the best, I wanted to be like, do you understand how this works? Because my GPA was like a 0.75 for a year. You know what I'm saying? Um, but
Praise God for a turnaround, though. How about that?
come on, won't he do it? And it's not because, it's not because I didn't understand the information. It's simply because I would show up, make the announcements at the school, and then leave
And not you up and say like, look, y'all gotta be on payroll. I'm gonna do my job and go home.
and go home. I would come back for the lunches, and then I would be like, all right, then,
Not you come back for
I'll be back
lunch.
to catch my bus home. Like, you know what I'm saying? But,
Child, Lord have
yeah.
mercy.
But my dad thought that I should have been a doctor. And so
Mm,
even when I was in high school, I was taking college courses. So when I got to college, I already had college credits. My
hmm.
mom wanted me to be a lawyer, which is the reason why I started public speaking so young, because she was like, "Oh, you've got to, be able to work a room."
Hmm.
But um, you know, that's the reason why I decided to coach, is because so many times when we were younger, we were told that creatives don't make any money. And in order
Hmm.
for you to make money, you have to do something that is like doctor, lawyer, et cetera, right?
Hmm.
And that's not the truth. And also there's more to life than just making money. There's more to life than our what we produce.
Hmm.
Um and I know that her parents probably are thinking that they're doing what's best for her, but shame on them for discouraging her from chasing her dreams.
So let me give you my story of college. Okay.
Mm,
So for most of my childhood, I wanted to be an architect. Okay.
hmm hmm
I thought that I was going to do that. But then I got over that and I wanted to go into fashion design. Um, so I said like around sophomore, no, around junior into senior year, I was like, no, I want to go to school for fashion design. And my mother was like, no, no, you're not doing that. So, um, literally, she was like, I had to learn how to advocate for myself in that time because she was not my supporter in this at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And I was going to one of the best schools for that at the time, like UC, University of Cincinnati, Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning is a college, was one of the best schools for architecture as
Yeah.
well as fashion design, everything like that. And basically, they took you in without like a portfolio and stuff like that because they trained you, especially when we wanted to go into corporate fashion. I didn't realize that that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Um, I advocated for myself, got into the program, and went to school for that. My mother was not pleased about it at all. I lasted a quarter, mostly because I hated my drawing teacher. Because
Mm.
it's one of those things like you start with the basics. You don't do anything fashion for the first year at all. It's just like studio classes and stuff like that. But after the first quarter, I hated my drawing teacher because I remember one critique. I had drawn something like, you're supposed to not use um like perfect circles. So you would
Okay.
just draw perfect circles, but you can't use any tools to help you draw that perfect circle. You have to build the hand motion to draw a perfect circle and perfectly shade. Um, and then you would have class critique, open class critique. It's just like, oh,
Mm.
well, it looks like you only took 5 minutes on this. I worked hard. But you could tell she had her favorite in the class. And you could tell this dude, he wanted to be an industrial designer, so he wanted to design cars.
Now I mean, like,
And
what's his name? Let's Google him.
yeah, I don't even remember the man's name. But he had an air about him, you could tell.
Mm.
And I was one of the few black people in the class. I just didn't fit in. I didn't fit in. I didn't fit in at all. And I know, and I'm used to being the only black in a class, in a school, period. I just did not fit into this environment. It just did not work for me. It was an era of stuff. I'm like, the fact when you start seeing kids up here doing lines of coke, because I mean literally to stay up, because I mean literally you would be in the studio all night trying to like I
Not the lines
remember
of Coke, though.
chat
We don't
look,
have no standards.
look. Um, at least it wasn't crack. Um, but like literally like doing making wash samples of colors as you had to get a perfect gradient from gray to black. So to get a perfect gradient gray to black with like 12 samples, you usually had to make upwards of 75 to 100. Like
Mm.
literally gouache, just adding dots of black, starting from white, adding dots of black so that you could then get a good sampler to black, then go ahead and make your thing. Um yeah. So, but I love my color class. I remember, I think her name was Crystal Wood, maybe something like that. She was a wonderful teacher, but it was the drawing teacher, that bitch. Um, I remember after going into my second quarter, like you were supposed to like draw all these things, and I did. Literally the night before, I literally pulled up pictures of shoes online and just start drawing, copying the pictures and drawing them out. I got a good grade, but then I thought about it out in this class. I'm like, I can't bear doing this.
Mm.
And like, and literally left on a break and changed my major. Did not go
Wow.
back. hmm and literally, this is why to this day I really don't draw. I used to draw, like literally, that was my outlet before
Yeah.
sewing and stuff like that. So imagine for years, from the age of basically 19 to 30, I did not have a creative outlet until I started
Hmm.
sewing. Um, so this reminded me of some of that. Now, no, I would buy like even during that time, like even before I got into sewing on my own, I would sew. I would like sewing stuff. So I knew how to use a machine.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not like I would actually make a project with it until I bought a machine of my own that I
Right.
wanted.
Yeah.
Um, but this just kind of reminded like that sentiment of like stupid hobby or something like that. Your parents like and people not really advocating for you. It just reminded me of that childhood and
Mm.
as at work we were talking about ways to like what did you need from an adult as a child? Um,
Hmm.
like this just kind of tied all of that in, and we were talking about that before we came on today in our meeting before the meeting. Um,
Our warm
so
up.
this just reminded me of that, and just kind of I saw
Yeah.
myself in it. I'm like, oh, but when the time is right and when things align, it aligns.
Yeah.
Because though I dropped out of fashion school, look where I'm at now.
As I said, look at you now.
Now do I sometimes like I'm keep on trying to talk myself out of going back just to finish what I started because I'm like, Chad, I
Yeah.
don't need it. Honestly, I don't need it, but I want it just to say I did it.
Mm.
The same way that I always have to keep on talking myself out of going to get a PhD because I want to be Dr. Collins. I don't need it
I
at
mean, Dr.
all.
Collins is definitely
It
giving
sounds
Kyle
real
Barker.
cute. It sounds real cute,
It
but
does.
but that bill ain't cute. Doing them papers ain't cute.
I just feel
Writing a
like
dissertation ain't cute.
I was, when you were talking about going back to school, I was like, maybe I could. And then I don't know if you know Lilia very well, but like Lilia, and she's significantly younger than us.
hmm
She's in her 20s. But she's going back and she's getting her master's in fashion as well. And I'm just like, we talk a lot about her class content and stuff like that.
hmm
And sometimes I'm like, could I? But then I'm like, yo, I feel like I feel like that ship has sailed for me, not in the sense of, oh, I can't go back, I'm too old or anything like that. But I feel like right now, the universe is positioning me to teach and to be the person who is the educator.
hmm
Um, and that is honestly what I would really like. But
hmm
like, I can understand your thought process behind it, you know. Um,
hmm
But if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think it's necessary either. Now I wouldn't say it's a waste of money. I wouldn't go as far as to say that, but like a necessity,
Oh no, that's the thing. It's like it's definitely not. There is no necessity to this at all for my
right.
life right now. It's just it is more of a want,
Yeah,
and but also to go back to school, like in my current career, it's not going. That's not going to help with anything. Like it's I like to get another degree
right.
right now would not make
Right.
me more money.
Right. Right.
Um, unless I'm changing fields. And I also don't like I have a house, I have a job, and
Right.
I like making sure I have money.
Mm-hmm.
So like quitting something to go back to school is a hell the fuck no.
Mm-mm.
Not in this economy.
Not in this economy.
Um,
Not if we have to eat at the same time.
shall look, and not sell something, do
Okay.
some strange things for some change things like we literally
Listen,
back in school back in the day.
you over here talking about it, and I'm like, I'm sure
Look,
I'm somebody's fetish. You know what I'm saying? Like,
look.
I'm like, I
Some
got feet, I got really nice hands.
we gonna find somebody who's willing to pay.
Okay.
But yeah, so like, knowing that that is the case for me, it is not like, it's just that's not in the cards. And unless I do online, and I'm like, do I have the stamina to pay it? I don't have the attention span. I don't
Me
have the
neither.
attention span.
It's
So,
funny because talking about the Narita Hansen thing,
hmm
somebody commented on my video and was like, yeah, since COVID, like my ADHD has been worse. And I was like, yo, that there, like
the
sometimes
realest
you
thing
need
ever
someone to
said.
say aloud what you've been feeling the entire time because like are a lot of the things that I've been experiencing new? No, but they're just more consistent and they
Hmm
get stronger, you know? And I'm like, my ADHD will have me over here like, oh yeah, learning about style, learning about fashion, and then being like, what? I think I want to
Right.
learn about and completely change gears, like for
Yes.
me. And of course, if you watch my when people watch my what is it, my vlogs and stuff like that, I'm 1000% certain that people will be like, how do we even get to this topic? Like, how do we get here? And it's courtesy of Odd Had, right? That's what I call it. A little ADHD. You know what I'm
Look,
saying?
and it's
Um,
real. It
and
is
my
real.
husband will send me like all the reels and the stuff like that that are like you have ADHD or like, and I'm like, wow,
Hmm
every box
hmm
checked.
hmm
But I do
When you
feel
could be
like for
listening to or watching a video, looking at your phone, on your sewing machine, as well as listening to something in your headphones. But the thing that annoys you the most is that you can hear the sound of your sewing machine. Like you can hear the electric, or you can hear the
I
electric
was
of
gonna say,
your.
or I can just hear the electricity. Like I'll be sitting next to my bed
Hmm
watching TV, talking to
hmm
Denver, and I'll be like, "Do you hear that? Do you hear the
hmm
electricity?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay,
hmm
never mind, never mind."
hmm
He'll be like, "If it's loud, that means it's about to blow up." And I'm like, "Well, can you hear it?" He's
Right.
like, "No, definitely not." I was like, "Well, we shouldn't go off of what I hear." You know what I'm saying?
And it
Um,
usually like, and sometimes literally understand that sometimes I have to switch to a fully mechanical machine because if I hear like in one of my machines, I could hear the step up motors and I could hear it
mm.
ramping up and down. And I'm like I
You
would
know
have
what
to
my
take
least
breaks of
favorite
it.
thing is like when certain tones, like, and it's not consistent, right? Like I'll
Yes.
get in the car and like Denver will really be like, I don't understand why you don't listen to music. And I'm like, sometimes I can't. Sometimes it's too loud for me. He's like, just turn it down. I'm like, that's not what I mean. Like, that's
It's
not what I
such
mean.
it's too loud in my soul.
Right. It's like,
It's not like loud, but I
right.
feel it
It's
too loud.
grating
Yeah.
my head. Like,
Yes. And speaking of
can't.
things, because we were talking about this earlier, tell us about this show that you want me to watch, and I will
Mm.
tell y'all why y'all I'm struggling with the idea of it.
Okay, so listen. Um, Let me preface this by saying I do not like to read subtitles on anything. I feel like it counts as reading a book, but it can't go into my Goodreads. You know what I'm saying? But I started watching La Maison on Apple TV. And this is detailing a rivalry between fashion houses in France. And it's taking place in modern day. And it is between one of the houses is Les Deux, and the other house is Rovel. And when tell you guys, and if you don't know anything about like fashion house rivalries and why this is an important part of fashion history, you already know who's about to educate you because it's not going to be me. It's going to be our historian, our fashion historian, right? He's about to come on here. But listen, the way that this has me in a chokehold. I'm already finished with all of the episodes that have dropped, right? I have read every single, okay, so I'm lying. I didn't read every single word because your girl gets distracted, obviously. But I have been completely engaged with it. The character development is spot on, right? The even like the person who plays Vincent Ledoux, who is who when you start watching, he's the head of the house, right? He's
Hmm.
been the creative art director for 40 years at this juncture, right? And when I
Hmm.
tell you that you get so invested in everything that's going on, now he does have some bipolar tendencies that you got to keep up with. So it's a lot, but I'm just like, wow. The character development, the story development, the way that you fall in love and then hate characters, it's just so well done, so well executed
Hmm.
um, that it really does make you want to live in France and be on the fashion scene and be involved in these rivalries because it's just like, wow, how do we get here? Also, the fashion, the style,
Come
it's
on.
giving us what we need. And of course, because it's taking place in France, there's lots of clean lines, there's lots of minimalist, but one of the key elements to the storyline is when a new creative director comes on the scene and she represents everything where we essentially want to take fashion now. So she is a sustainability girly. Like she is dedicated to like reduce, reuse, recycle, in
Hmm.
fashion, but while making it amazing, right? One of the things, and for those that I feel like most people who have watched my style know that I love lace. And so watching these people create lace because they're hand making the lace, I'm just
Hmm.
watching it with jaw dropped because it's so beautiful to watch. Um, and honestly, and I feel like because a lot of the cast members are on the older side, right? I'm 41, so I'm on the older side as well. I'm getting so inspired by some of these really clean looks that are also they have so much structure and beautiful lines to them. They aren't just like it's not just your basic button up, right? The
Hmm.
styling is so chic. It's just it's so mature. It's so like it's giving, I hate to say it, but it's giving very demure, very classy, very mindful.
So
And
y'all,
I'm like living for it.
and I love that for you. But here's y'all. Okay, so yes, because this sounds great, and I will go into the history in a second because this does sound up my alley. But y'all, I need y'all to understand how my ADHD works. And yes, this has been diagnosed. Me and my doctor done had this conversation. He said, "Oh yeah, yeah, you there." Um, I struggle with sitting down and paying attention to one thing to the point that literally going to movies and watching TV shows that have like plots make me anxious. I have not watched a TV show like with a plot since the start of the pandemic, maybe before. I watch YouTube because I really don't have to pay attention to it.
Hmm.
Only thing I will sit down and watch like some of my friends and their sewing videos, but
Hmm.
otherwise it's
He
court
means
TV.
me.
Yeah. It's court shows because I don't have to
Oh
pay attention
man.
to court shows.
Court shows will get me caught up.
See, not I mean, but it'd be the same story. It'd be like that, or it'd be First 48, or it'd be Snapped. Like it's things that I really don't have to pay attention to,
Yeah.
just as background noise.
Yeah.
So literally, the last movie I went to go see was The Color Purple.
Hmm.
And it took days for me to work myself up to gear
I mean,
my
like that's
mind right
aggressive.
to sit and watch the musical. But yes, it took me a minute. Just the idea of having to sit there and watch it. I don't know why. So this show sounds amazing. Sounds
Hmm.
it sounds amazing. Amazing. But y'all right now, the idea of sitting still to then have to pay attention, especially to subtitles,
Hmm. Hmm.
literally it feels like my blood pressure is going up. Like my heart is about to start racing. At the
Not your
idea, like
heart palpitating right now.
it literally, it almost like skis me out a little bit. And as crazy as it sounds, like it just it's like like just that
Yeah.
y'all don't understand, and it does not make sense, and people don't understand it. But I'm like, I can read a book, I can listen to a book,
Hmm.
I can sit and do other things. Usually that has my hands involved, but sitting just to watch something usually does not happen. And it
Yeah.
has gotten like before, I would be doing 4 or 5 things at once while TV was on
Hmm.
and like with other sounds. But now it's even like it has to be sounds that I just really don't have to pay attention to at all. So I'm struggling, but I love the idea of this show.
Yeah. I was gonna say
There
maybe you
needs to
should do
be
Love is
TV
Blind season seven
shows.
then.
There needs to be TV shows for people with ADHD, like mine,
Yeah. And I
that
feel like I
struggle.
do feel like it is hard to because in truth I turned it on, saw that there were subtitles and turned the shit
Mhm.
off. Because I was like, I'm gonna have to revisit this another day. Like we gonna
Okay,
have to come
for sure.
back when mentally I'm in a different space.
Hmm.
Um, but I actually felt, and the way that you're describing it, I'm like, wow, this feels very relatable because that's how I felt. I was like, oh, mm-mm. Because then I started to go down and I was like, I'm gonna have to rewind and rewatch how many times?
That part, that
And then
part.
I'm gonna feel, and then if I don't, then I'm gonna end up feeling like I wasted time. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm. Right.
Um,
But I
but I
love a
will
good
say that once
feud.
it hooks you, it's very good.
And probably I probably just need it probably just needs to, but we ain't got there yet. Um,
Yeah.
but also, I mean, I do love a good feud, and there have definitely been some good fashion feuds. From now, no, because the way that we know fashion and fashion houses really came into being, like especially couture, the House of Worth. That's where most of that started in the 18, I want to say 50s, 60s. And what's funny is that that is where we start seeing like fashion houses the way that we know in haute couture was started there. But honestly, it was it was marketing the way that it was sold. Um,
Mm.
the way that we know it, like things had always been done by hand and everything like that.
Hmm.
But they kind of took it to a new level and they really set the trends. But honestly, they kind of helped to perfect n- like mass production of fashion.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
way, especially high fashion, started there, even though they are the house of haute couture. But they really helped build, like most of the base of the dresses, of all the dresses were the same. The decorations would change.
Mm.
So literally, they made it so that a lot of times the base would be the same, and you could just add whatever decoration and trimmings and stuff like that. Um, So and some of that would be hands-on, but not all of it, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but even if we, especially fashion fuse, one of the probably the most infamous ones was Schiaparelli. So Elsa
Hmm.
Schiaparelli and Coco Chanel. So,
Coco.
well, child, I mean, now no, she was a sympathizer, a Nazi sympathizer, and all that other stuff. So she was a hot ass mess.
It was.
And Soul People up the road. And then Elsa, like, she was more artsy. Had more of the creativity, probably more than Coco Chanel did. And I think there was a jealousy there around that. And there is a story of an infamous party, and Dress the History of Fashion podcast has talked about this as well. So definitely one, I think April Ryan and Casserie Zachary, I want to say is their names.
You
Is
said
definitely one to go
dress the
list that.
history.
Yep,
Okay.
Dress the History of Fashion. One of my favorite podcasts, actually, outside of our own.
Obviously.
Um, they talked about like at a party there was like a specific party, especially in Paris, where there was drinks flowing and everything like that, and Elsa had made her dress. Coco
Hmm.
came and stuff like that and was trying to
Man, Coco was messy. Now, I would say
look.
I stand for a messy queen, but not this messy queen.
No,
Not
no.
this messy queen.
So, and and was the way that she was messy was for her own, always for her own benefit, always for like trying to take out others,
Hmm.
um, and stuff like that. And we know how, like, with through the world wars and stuff like that, we did see a lot of fashion houses leave, especially after the war and stuff like that. Or like if you wanted to keep your house, you had to basically get in bed with the Germans, and the Germans
Hmm.
were basically trying to move Hokutor to Germany from Paris for a little bit. And the only one who like you had to basically be ready to dress them officers' wives and stuff like that. And the only one who really played game with that was Coco Chanel. Elsa
Mm.
Schiaparelli basically ended up shutting down for a while. But it is interesting, especially if we think about it from a perspective of who has the most history and like who's the house of right now. Right now,
Hmm.
I would say it's Schiaparelli. Coco Chanel does still have the same aesthetic, but it's dated, it's old. I'm over it. But that's just me. That I'm not
Not
a
it's
Chanel
dated, it's
person.
old. I'm over
Uh,
it.
It is, and I am, and I have been for a long time. But that's just
Oh,
me. I own how I feel about it, but that's how I
yeah.
feel about it. I'm over it. Yeah, I've been over it for a long time. I mean, you know, and they going through their change, going through changes. Um, with because I think after Karl Lagerfeld, I think they had another one. I think they're about to have another child. They're going through changes.
Hmm.
But overall, the style will never change because it will always be connected with like the Coco Chanel aesthetic, and
Hmm.
I'll be over it. I'm over it. But that's just me. Daniel Roseberry at Schiaparelli. I have fun watching that. It gives me old school Jean-Paul Gaultier at Dior. So,
Mm. Hmm.
and I think
Mm.
that's when I fell in love with fashion. It was Jean-Paul Gaultier at Dior, 2004,
Yeah, I was gonna say
2003,
I thought it was around like
2004.
2003-ish, 2003, 2004
2003,
time frame.
2004, when the collection of the big dresses, it was very much Mary Antoinette. This was the dress, the gown that Melania Trump's wedding dress was made from.
Mm.
It was from that collection. That was in Vogue magazine, and she wore the full dress. So
Melania's got good taste in fashion.
eh,
And the
maybe,
silence spoke for us.
I mean, that's what happens when you sell your soul to the devil. Maybe that's the only thing that the devil was able to give her that was good.
Oh God.
And
Wow.
Hoodles,
Wow.
y'all. But how
Wow. The
y'all
way that
doing?
he just came with that.
I mean, look, what is y'all favorite fashion moment? I would love to hear, like especially high fashion moment. What is
Mm.
your favorite fashion moment?
What
I
is your
think that's a
favorite fashion?
question for the
That's a good
week.
question.
Hmm.
I cannot wait to see what the responses are. Definitely going to
Hmm.
drop that question, of course, in the cafe, which if you guys are like, what is the cafe? That is our channel on Instagram. Um, but yeah, definitely looking to hear back on some of those responses. So, Julian, let me ask you, now that
Hmm.
you have essentially created art in the most literal sense, what are you working on?
Trying to find my sanity.
Facts.
Yeah.
Do you ever sometimes
So,
feel like because we are like influencers, and we
mhm.
are kind of public facing, right? That you don't really sew just for the sake of sewing anymore?
Sometimes it feels like that. That I don't feel like I'm sewing just to sew.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, when that happens, I just choose a different sewing machine.
Hmm.
So that's when the vintage machines come into play. Now, do I have two vintage machines coming? Yes, I do.
Okay.
I
Okay.
bought one on accident. I didn't think I was going to win it, but I did.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Child, that was an expensive win. Um,
Not you
mhm.
literally being the person at like the auction who's like got their paddle up and then they be
And
like,
you
"What?"
like,
And you be like, "Oh,
oh
so nobody
shit.
else is gonna put their paddle up?"
Well, damn. Well, damn. But yeah, that was an expensive win, and especially when I already have two other ones. Other say so it's the one I have on my chest, my Wilcox and Gibbs. This one is a vintage electric one. So the other two are electric. I like only have
Boogie
actually
woogie
that's
woogie.
crazy. I only have the Wilcox and Gibbs as electric machines. But this one is a when I say vintage, vintage, like the motor is from the 20s or earlier.
God. Wow.
Comes in a case, um, and it has the accessories, which is fun.
That is fun.
Those and those accessories, like one of those accessories goes for sometimes like $150 a piece,
Wow.
just for one.
Wow.
So and I just ordered some belts because I'm like, one of these three, like the belt is loose on one. So I'm like, one of these three is about to work. I know that much. We're gonna make
I
one of
know.
them work.
Listen, somebody gonna be up in here working.
So we about to do that. But yeah, that's what that is. I did wash the fabric to go with my Valentino look.
Mm-hmm.
Um, am I still second guessing the fabric? I am.
Mm-hmm.
This
Naturally.
yellow. Um, but I am trying to decide because everybody's saying like go with these different colors. When I tell you the yellow is the daffodili-ish of yellows, meaning that it's a cool tone yellow. It's not a
Okay.
warm tone yellow.
Okay.
So people are saying like go with browns and stuff like that. I'm like, no, because it's cool tone.
Yeah,
And the
go with grays,
brown,
right?
like so it could go with grays, it could go with black. So I'm thinking like more
Mm.
spring or winter color. Well, even more spring than winter because it's like a muted. It's not like a real bold yellow. But it almost in certain lights reads neon. So I'm trying to figure it out. Um, trying to figure it out, especially for a whole outfit that I would wear around my birthday time. But the other
Okay.
option, I saw some double knit that was black and white.
Ooh,
And I do
okay,
love a
okay.
good black, I do love a good black and white moment. So the fabric might be changed. We'll see. But I also found going through my fabric sets, because we trying to use what we got.
Facts.
I did find this is a milk chocolate brown and black 100% wool Glen plaid.
Oh, wow.
Can we just talk about I love how I just had this sitting up in my stash. How much of this did I have sitting up in my stash? Guess.
6 yards.
8.
I thought I was gonna say eight too. I was
8.
looking at that fold and I was like, that fold is looking more like eight.
Yes. So something I might start with this with a pair of high-waisted pants and a vest, maybe. So
Julian, you were the first one to get me on this vest kick. I'm gonna make one. I'm making a
no.
vest this week. I have to.
So yeah. And I think I know which pair like the pants pattern I want to try. I need to find the vest pattern that I want to use. And I might
Mhm.
do a pair of pants and a vest
Okay.
to get me into it before I go into this Valentino pattern. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Okay.
What are you working on?
Um, a vest for sure. I feel
Okay.
like I've been wanting to make a vest for a very long time. Like literally since you did that like that black, white, and yellow photo shoot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In
That
my
was good.
head, I should be dressing like Julian, even though one, we have two very different aesthetics and we have two very different presenting genders. So,
And that's fine.
um, and
I ain't never
three
stopped
different,
us.
very, very different body types. But
That's okay too.
I have the kids have UN Day coming up. If you're like, what's UN Day? UN Day is the celebration of their heritage. So, my kids are Jamaican. Um, on their father's side, and they are just a melting pot of Irish, Scottish, German, English, and African from my side.
A little lot
Um,
of Dottie and everybody.
a little
Hmm.
bit. So I got to make them their outfits for that.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just gonna do a little color block situation with a Kelly green, yellow, and black.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be recording tomorrow for I don't know if you've seen those lace black maxi skirts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your girl is really into it. I am
Come on.
loving it. I'm hesitant to make it because I'm also like, yo, your girl's 41. Where am I wearing this to? But I feel like they've been styling it in very casual ways, so we're gonna take our hand at it as well.
As you
But
should.
I also am going to be adding a pair of shorts into mine because the way that my booty is set up, you know what I'm saying? Listen, we can't be out here giving free shows, not in this economy. So,
Look, not in this economy.
not in this
Ain't nothing
economy.
free. Ain't nothing
There is
free.
nothing free. So I'll be working on that as well. But can I just say how like this Pinterest inspiration to closet manifestation has really set me up for success?
Come on.
Um, like Sunday when I had to get dressed to go back to Spelman, and if you are unfamiliar with Spelman, Spelman, of course, is an all Black women's college, but it's not just basic, right? Like
No.
these women are out here, they are entertainment lawyers. They are literally the cream of the crop. They are the doctors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so anytime I go back, I always want to make sure that I feel good about how I'm presenting myself. And normally, I feel like sometimes I can struggle with what to choose out of my wardrobe simply because I'm just like, it's not organized or I haven't created the pieces that I needed. But through my challenge of the Pinterest inspiration to closet manifestation, I have created some of these really dope pieces that make mixing and matching so easy that finding something that falls within my aesthetic was easy
Mm-hmm.
breezy. Like it was so easy to do, and I felt so comfortable, so confident. And if you're like, Aaronica, what are you talking about? I started this challenge, I think maybe a month or two ago, just to challenge myself. And I offered the challenge to other people because we use Pinterest as inspiration so often. But how often do we actually make those inspirations come to life? And since
Mm-hmm.
I've been really focusing on that, as far as being what guides what I make, I've had so much more success with just getting dressed and feeling like myself. So,
Come on.
yeah,
And that's important.
it is.
And
It
that
really is.
is important. So I love it. Also, so if I am hosting Black Soy Network Sunday services Sunday.
Hmm.
Um so and I just thought about like, oh, I guess I should get that ready too. I
Yes.
should, because it's
Yes.
Sunday. We are making corsets.
Ooh, that's right. You were telling me about this. Don't be a last minute
Yeah.
Lenny.
You can't with a corset.
No.
So right. So I need to I I guess I will be getting started to get that ready tomorrow, something like that. Luckily the pattern be small.
Hmm.
But I don't think I can't project this one. So I'm gonna have to print it off
Hmm.
to do all of that, which is not a problem. So but I think I'm doing a corsets by Caroline, one of their men's corset patterns.
This it's gonna be so
And
sexy.
look,
It's gonna
do
be
I know
so sexy.
anything? So this is I need to find what fabric I'm about to play with on this because this is gonna be a practice,
Hmm.
y'all. A practice. But actually, one of the patterns I was looking at was for a corset vest. Wait a minute. Hmm. There's a simplicity corset vest that I could do. That does take
Mm.
boning, that is double-breasted. And then I could do it in this Glen plaid.
Yes, it's an idea. The light bulb
Oh,
just went
shucks,
off.
Ducky. It did. It did. Now we got the thing. We'll see. But it will be something in that realm, y'all. We will figure out exactly what it is in the next few days.
Yeah,
So, but so definitely Sunday 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my TikTok on Julian Creates. So definitely one to check out.
excellent, excellent. I'm so excited about how that is gonna come out looking. Not me over here like, do they have a corset vest pattern for women? Because I'm trying to tell you, I'd be like, Julian, I'm just your twin.
Well, look, but I don't see why you couldn't just make one. I mean, basically, it's just about like if you take any vest, put a bone in it.
It is
Yeah.
valid.
That's all it is.
I do think that the vest that I'm gonna make this week is probably gonna be on the looser side. So probably not
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a nicely tailored one.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna use the seam work one for it. Um,
Mm.
and then I'm gonna use the Just Patterns one. Because
Okay.
the Just Patterns one, she came out with like a hack for it and updated all of her files, and it's like really dope. It's like it's like asymmetrical. It's really dope.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Come on through.
yeah. I was like,
So
okay, girl.
look, you got options. You got options. So y'all, we hope that you are finding something to sew on this week. I hope that you are finding your inspiration in the world. And but also we are still 2 weeks from an election, so that you're also finding time to take care of yourself
Mm-hmm.
as things get crazier as the day goes on and anxiety be at 10 in an already anxious world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So take care of yourself. Let's take care of each other. Let's be nice to each other, and let's continue to bring pretty into the world, one stitch at a
Continue to
time, y'all.
bring pretty into the world. Yes.
That's all I got. So
It's a good
until next
word.
time, y'all, stay audacious and stay sewing. And we'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.